The city brought the shards to the wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring 'em back. Slinger Range is where the city's quickest pistoliers put themselves to the test. You have to think fast to survive the wilds, and none thought faster than the Slingers. They could shoot their pistols with the speed of a machine. They knew just when to start shooting and when to stop. The Slingers could plug you full of holes faster than you could say draw. Takes a lot of moving pieces to make a dependable sidearm. He's made a right comfortable bed for all those bullets. Just 'cause you're fast don't mean you gotta be reckless. Kid's the fastest shot I ever seen. He blew through Slinger Range like it was nothing. If you're feeling low, count on the buttery flavor of our own Bastion bourbon. A pair of Slinger pistols is just the ticket if a hammer's too slow. The dynasty, to the families of the city, all reunited. That ought to give those dueling pistols a little extra kick. To master the musket, you gotta get rid of the recoil. The less said about Jawson Bog, the better. That place will eat your mind. After Zolf's little episode, Kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the Bastion bad. But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the core's medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating. Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good for all I know. Wherever he is, it's somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. Dead welcome him with open arms. Kid pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? Zolf of Ligura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, pineapples, swamp weeds, ankle gators. Now the Bastion can send him even farther into the wild unknown. Kid sets foot inside one of Ceylondia's famous watering holes. Would you look at what he did to poor old Ronde the bartender? Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of Piff, the bull. The gods, they're all undone. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend. His friend, he's come undone too. He sees what's left undone. Thought we'd lost him, but he finally comes to. The shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. Bootlickers stick their nasty thorns into his heels. Disgusting things. Ever heard of a lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say. The breath on that thing, like a scumbag sprung a leak. Say one whiff of lung blossom can make you lose your mind. Well, the kid prunes it down to size somehow. Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. The shard's got enough juice to spruce up any of these places. The arsenal's complete in case we need protection. Want to stay alive in the wilds? Pack a pair of pistols and a good blade. He ain't all that shy. The city tried to use the shards to stake out the wilds. So much for that plan. Roathus Lagoon, even the brushers stopped going there. Didn't like being eaten. Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Roathus Lagoon. Many a tale folks used to scare their children straight originated here. All kinds of beasts we don't know up from down, still lurking around. Can't get hasty in a place like this. These beasts, they don't like company. Only the city's brushers knew their way around the lagoon. They moved quick and quiet. And they struck hard. Even the brushers learned to fear this place. They used to think that ankle gators were extinct. Well, they ain't. One of them's been living in the tall grass. They called her Queen Anne. Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard. Ankle gators love shiny things. The lagoon's got plenty of other dangers, of course. Know what smells worse than an ankle gator's breath? The stinkweed. Ain't time for pecker hunting, but the kid can't resist. Can't fight Queen Anne without the proper tools. The brushers use their pikes to keep their distance around here. Now the kid can do the same. Sharp sticks make Queen Anne nervous, so she backs off a bit. Most of those peckers are smart enough to stay out of Queen Anne's way. Those pin cushions have been living off the ankle gator scraps. Queen Anne can't fit down some of these narrow paths. Queenie leads the kid into some kind of twisted trap. One bad step in that tall grass and he's Queen Anne's lunch. He holds his ground. Seems the Queen's running out of options. Still no sign of the shard. Well, the brusher's way ain't really his style. The closer you get to an ankle gator's lair, the thicker the tall grass grows. Kid's gotta make a run for it. They say you can't hurt an ankle gator unless it's raining, and it ain't raining. That old gator's right on his tail. Queenie must have scared a bunch of peckers out of hiding. Ankle gators don't much care for their young. That's why there ain't many around. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? You use a kid as bait. Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go. The shard's sitting in plain view. They say if you run across an ankle gator, you better keep running. He's got it, and now to finish her off. She's starting to get annoyed. Kid's done what needed to be done. Queen Anne's reign is over. We even got a crown jewel. Still no mail. Go figure. That gator's a crazy gal, but so's the gal who promised to look after her. All that trouble for a single shard, but you know what? It was worth it. They said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't. The memorial may be finished, but our part is far from over. The Gravers, the arm of justice, they seemed unstoppable. The city, its riches nothing but fragments now. The inspiration, a forge can fashion anything. The faith, Mother, this one's for you. I've asked a lot of the kid, but this is something he's done on his own. a spitting image of Slinger Jawson with that pike and them pistols. To fix a brusher's pike, you just need a good length of knife bark. Don't want that thing leaving your hands until you decide it's time. The next shard should be farther out there in the wilds. Over there is Camp Dauncy, where the brushers steel themselves for secret missions. To prepare for the wilds, Caelandia's brushers practice at Camp Dauncy. Had to navigate a maze of pincushions with nothing but a pike. It's a dangerous test for a dangerous job. Sometimes the course was brutal. Health tonics were off limits at Camp Dauncy. They said they made you weak. Said he couldn't use any fancy footwork, just your brains and your pipe. If you did all right at Camp Dauncy, you got to go to the wilds. Run at Camp Dauncy could get you promoted to captain on the spot. The wilds ain't so scary now, are they? Gotta make sure the pointy end's fastened on real tight. The service for all the men and women who serve Caelondia. The Brushers, they moved in shadows, but the Calamity found them. Point Lemaign's Grand Rail once brought the riches of the wild right to our doorstep. Know how Caelondia became the richest city in the world? 2 words. Point Lemaign. If the wilds could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. But now, the greatest outpost past the city line is nothing but a freak show. The Army's triggers once had the place on lockdown. Kid might as well pick up where they left off. Blam! Just like my fighting days. Gun like that can even put the wilds in check. Point Lemaign seen better days for sure. But it ain't done. Place shudders in a fit. The Grand Rail of Point Lemaign. Not only is it still there, it still works. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks. Grand Rail's all grown over with things the Calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid don't let so much as one of those things slip by. Lunkheads settled in like they own the place. Fancy footwork on the rail, what with wallflowers and coughing fungus everywhere. Only way to cure a cough like that. The place used to be closed off, but now it's split open like a rotten pineapple. Of course, the Grand Rails see much more fighting in bygone times. Near on 50 years ago, first shots fired in the Ura-Celandian War. Right here that Zulf's Ura forefathers decided to mix it up. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad. The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for him, though. All the rotten wood there on the rails turned it into swamp weed central. Ever tried dancing side to side while holding your breath? While shooting a genuine registered armored carbine? While choking on swamp weed? While peckers trying to prick you in the eye? Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun. the end of the line. Should have seen him tiptoe around those swamp weeds in his way. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower, pincushion, mind you. At first, he thinks it's Zulf. Turns out he's wrong. This is for you, says the man. Then wham! When the kid comes to, the man's long gone. But something else is there. The only words kid recognizes on that parchment are for Zia. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. Seems the gods recommended this place to all their friends. Messiah. Garmouth. Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take what we can get. The note says it plain. Zia, go east to learn the truth about the calamity and our people. I'll be waiting. Sincerely, Zulf. Think the gods are gonna help? Kid arrives just in time to sample Zia's famous cooking. Zulf's messenger was one of his people. Wonder just how many of them survived, and what exactly Zulf told him. That's the way to make every shot count. Even the army never issued carbines in such fine shape. He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head. I've said a lot about the kid, but he ain't the only one wrapped up in all this. What's he thinking? Well, let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the Tazal Terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Caelandia. Folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Ura refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. Mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's Mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mancers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. Convinced her to take him to her family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. It was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tazal Terminals. Lost my train of thought there. They would hide inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. But the authorities were already there when that scumbag sidled up to the city walls.
Dig my hole, you build it all. One day that wall is gonna fall. Gonna build that city on.
The young man had sent the authorities a tip. Told him her father was using her to sell secrets to the Tazal Terminals.
That city on a hill. Someday those tears are gonna spill. So build that wall and build it stronger.
She and her father were arrested for treason, but her father got a deal. Returned to work for the Mancers, and she'd go free.
Gonna build that wall up to the sky. Build that wall up to the sky. Someday your bird is gonna fly.
Before they parted ways for the last time, her father whispered a desperate plea. Hurry home to the den and lock yourself in.
Build that wall until it's done. But now, got nowhere to run. So build that wall and build it strong, 'cause we'll be there before too
She did as she was told, and deep down underground inside that den, she found a journal written in her father's hand.
I dig my hole, you build a wall. I dig my hole, you build a wall. One day that wall is gonna fall. Gonna build that city on a hill.
The next day, the door to the den turned to ash. The girl came up for air, and she saw the calamity all around her. When the kid wakes up, his world's still in pieces, just the way he left it. Want to keep the wilds at bay? Pack yourself a musket and a pike. The shards are getting harder to find. That's Trigger Hill, where the Army's elite became the finest marksmen in the land. Caelandia's army only took the best, and the best of them trained on Trigger Hill. The Triggers believed they were nothing without their rifles. Nothing beats the feel of shooting a Caelandian army carbine. Sometimes you had to take care to steady your shot. The Triggers had clearance to modify their guns however they chose. Some felt the course was too easy, so the Triggers spiced things up a bit. It ain't bad, but the Triggers were better. If you want to master the art of the firearm, then the place to go is Trigger Hill. Sometimes you had to shoot from the hip. Had to keep moving to avoid getting burned. Kids load through that course like it was nothing. The Caelandian army would have recruited him in a flash. The Slingers, the wilds were their calling. Sometimes I want to ask him, why do any of this? The truth is, I don't want to know. No risk of Colford Cauldron ever erupting again, they used to say. Guess they were wrong. Not everything blew up in the calamity. Why, Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. It takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this. For us, we learned an awful lot from Colford Cauldron. That learning led to some interesting inventions. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. Playing with the cauldron's fires became an addiction. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here. The unforgiving scent of sulfurous dirt. The taste of air so hot it sticks to your lungs. All sorts of awful things crawling underfoot. You can cook those things, but you can't eat them. Never thought we'd find so much life in all that ash. It's awful hot in there. We kept on sifting through the cauldron's secrets anyway. The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. place is inhospitable as they come. But still, we pressed on. After all, when we looked down inside Colford Cauldron, looked down through all the smoke and flames, we saw in there the heart of the world, the heart now laid bare by the calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Jawson Bog. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen is waiting for him on the other side. Pops open on him like a pimple on a school day. And where there's one stink eye, there's always more. Cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. The kid don't shed any tears for him, though. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city. But all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us now. Ever see a kid with a musket and a fire bellows? Bit of a disturbing sight. Ain't saying much, but that's the greatest forge in all the city. The solid frame can put an extra sting in every slice. At least it won't get cold round here with that thing around. On the inside, a fire bellows ain't nothing like its more popular air-spitting cousin. You put some finishing touches on the business end of that thing. Arrows like that can practically find their own way. Takes a careful touch to rattle those bones like that. You don't want to know what he did to that thing, but believe me, it works. When you've got a solid balance, you've got what you need. Now we're looking at some serious firepower. It's no longer a weapon, it's a precision instrument. Now, whale ale ain't made from real whale, but it'll make you strong like one. The culture, a still life of old unwanted keepsakes. The conscience, we haven't lost everything, long as we have that. We spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Zand. Grady Incinerator's where we sent off all our trash to be burned or be eaten by the wilds. Welcome to Grady Incinerator, home of the hottest wings east of Caelandia. In all seriousness, the incinerator was a dump, and it had a problem with peckers. Blasted things would swoop in and spread trash all around, until we started using fire. We couldn't just torch them all at once. We had to use restraint. Keeping the incinerator clean was a paying job, but not a pleasant one. You'd almost think those peckers like getting cooked. Too bad we can't all fly. Wasn't any other way to teach those peckers some respect. Who knows why we fought so hard to defend our own trash? When one type of firepower ain't enough, there's always the carbine and the bellows. Without an insulated air intake, that thing's liable to blow up on you. Now that's what I call a knife. The cinders kept the city good and warm, made it thrive. Not much left of Mount Zand nowadays. It's like a cross between a zoo and a prison break. Can't rightly call Mount Zand a mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. So they figure they'll hold out right here, on a slab of mountain the Calamity forgot. Good thing for those beasts the Calamity saved leftovers. Those beasts been hoarding all the valuables they could find. We only found their little lair because they found themselves a little shard. The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. situation stinks. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down quick and clean. Besides, we have to take back what's ours. Even if the beasts of the wilds won't like it. The city left behind, those beasts took for themselves. Takes a lot of convincing, and our orders have to do the talking. Look at it this way, it's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our Bastion is everybody's gain, not just ours. Unfortunately, there's no explaining that to a simple beast. Those beasts been hard at work fixing up the place. They've rounded up their survivors, just like we have. They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have. Maybe they've thought about turning back, just like we have. We just really need their shard. Kid got it fair and square. You don't need to keep tangling with That's the way. He's done what's best for him, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll all be better off once the Bastion is complete. Fixed that thing right up, didn't we? Made these goings-on a little livelier. The monument's getting better. Zulf sure did a number on it, though. We need an awful big lost and found under the circumstances. Suppose it's true a little song can put things in perspective. Walk by a kid with a machete and a mortar, you just keep on walking. That mortar's gonna leave a lasting impression. Taught him an old trick from a galleon gunner I once knew. Toughest thing about using that gas can is keeping a grip on it. Just a couple shards left. A quarry's gotta have one, right? Boundless Bay used to be a weapons test and dry dock. Ain't never been this dry, though. Celandia's armada was a glorious sight, and our ship's mortars were unstoppable. At Boundless Bay, our Navy put those mortars through a rigorous inspection. Had to use squirts to simulate explosive impact on the surface of the sea. Choosing targets with those mortars was one of the trickiest parts. Sounds like the kid's mortar's in tip-top shape. If you got a thing for heavy artillery, then I've got the place for you. A variety of modifications could be used to enhance the power of a mortar. If the galleon mortar couldn't squish enough squirts, it was simply replaced. see the fireworks over Boundless Bay. Good thing we got to that mortar before the beasts of the wild learned how to use it. The skippers delivered us from the motherland. Wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of those. The secret to how we built Caelondia so tall and proud lies in Burstone Quarry. Imagine everything you'd need to build a city like Caelondia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes Burstone Quarry. The Ura tunnels beneath the quarry must have softened the blow from the calamity. Same goes for its natives, rattletails. Why would the Ura put up with those pests? Rattletails ain't the worst of it either, but more about that in a little bit. The quarry came with a lifetime supply of windbags. Windbags smaller than the naked eye can see are nesting in those rocks. There was even more to it than that. Not only are these rocks a source of life, we found that the oldest ones remember things. The quarry's secrets ain't exactly obvious. They're recording everything, all the time, taking it all in. No wonder all those beasts were drawn to the quarry. The rocks were calling them. Keeping the quarry free from pests turned out to be a problem. Windbags tended to the rocks, so we had to keep the rattletails at bay. Rattletails kept tunneling in to snack on windbags. Without those windbags, the quarry might not have its special qualities. Even stink eyes started taking root in here. Now why would the Ura sell off such a fascinating place? The Ura always were a superstitious lot. Might be the gods told them the quarry's bad news. On top of that, you know the Ura hated anything above ground. Might be the quarry just got too much sunshine for their liking. In any case, it's fair to say the quarry was a godsend. Those rocks, all polished to a mirror sheen. The largest ones, you know as cores. A single core could keep the lights on in an entire city district. The smaller ones, we call them shards. The shard's got a fraction of a core's power, enough to fuel a voyage to the motherland. Well, now the quarry's all dried up. These rocks are much too young to be of use. Remember how I said rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry? That honor goes to a beast we took to Colin, Sir Lunky. Massive things stomped many of our boys. We just couldn't get rid of him. The only thing harder than the rocks in Burstone Quarry is Sir Lunky's head. His big fat rump's plenty tough too, but so is the kid. We never could get stubborn old Lunky to leave the quarry alone. Then the kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. "Are you all right?" it says. It's him. "I've come to warn you," he says. "The Bastion is under siege. Let it fall. You should not go back." Kid hears him, but he ain't about to be deterred. "If that's the way it is," he says, "then I won't stop you. Because my countrymen will." Say what you will about Zulf, but he's a man of his word. His countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. Too bad for that. Zulf showed him the way here, and here they came to take revenge. They got inside the Bastion and shut the door. Kid's gotta go in through the back. I should have told him sooner about all this. To make matters worse, seems the Ura took the girl. Unfortunately, they broke in, and they started digging their hole. Something wrong sprung out of those holes, and it's eating away this place. We tried to stop them, but we needed help. Squirt, you don't make it. Somehow, some way, he sends those Ura packing. Problem is, it didn't matter. Zulf's plan worked. We find each other as the dust settles. Then I tell him why the Ura came. To get us back. For the calamity. It was Caelondia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zulf knew the whole story. What were we to think? They must have got her, taken her back to her rightful home. The shards can put this disease in remission, but there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started. Just the occasion to crack open the distillery's private reserve. Now all we need is one last shard. Black rye's like hot pineapple chowder on a cold day. Brings back memories. What else is there to say? A sanctuary. If we can build, we can rebuild. The Mercy. The windbags ain't the only beast that drew a bad lot. You'd never guess those things have been to the wilds and back. That'll spice things up next time he gets in trouble. The Ura swooped down from the east. At least now we know the way. Urzendra Gate used to lead down to the terminals. Now it leads up to the stars. One last shard. It's all we need to put this mess behind us. And mother, what a mess it is. A mess like that could have only been made by hand. Zolf said the calamity failed, and he's right. The Ura stand is living proof of that. At the heart of the calamity was a simple idea. We never wanted to go to war again. Wanted to prove it out. We put a lot of folks against that problem. Scientists, soldiers, spies, even me. We sought solutions far beyond the city. Traveled near as far as the kid's going right now. Most of our efforts didn't bear fruit. Then there was a breakthrough, but it didn't come from one of our people. from an Ura, a brilliant young scientist named Ven. Ven worked for the Mancers, the sharpest knives in the city's drawer.
Let me go.
With his help, the Mancers devised a way to seal the Ura tunnels shut in a flash. Just like that, every last Ura living in the Tazal Terminals will be gone. This discovery was never to be used, they said, except as a last resort. But Ven didn't like being manipulated. He had plans of his own. He sabotaged the Mancer's little science project, set it to blow up in their faces. Imagine how Ven must have felt when they finally made him pull that trigger. But remember, the Bastion can fix everything. We just need that shard. Too bad the Ura ain't exactly been willing to collaborate on that front. For now, Kid had little choice but to pick up where the Calamity left off. First things first, though. There's someone we figured needed rescuing. See ya. The Ura fell back, no doubt planning the next move, but we knew ours already. country. She's all to pieces now, but still looking good. Folks say Mender mead's good for you. It's like an herb garden in full bloom. There's something we had to do before going after that last shard. Zulten's Hollow is the Ura's border blockade. At least it used to be. Well, now it's personal, ain't it? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. We get straight down to business. They never saw him coming. He gets his hands on the care package I sent him. The Ura found a way to keep the calamity from spreading through Zulten's Hollow. Kid has to put a damper on their plans. They got their own security and everything. Pretty fancy, even. Still, they ain't used to having visitors around. They've got these conductors that are all what's keeping the place together. Break enough of those things and the calamity rocks slink back into the ground. Those rocks are like tumors, the same kind the Ura planted in the Bastion. It's not the time to get reckless. Well, the Ura must be in a panic right about now. Sick their little rattletail pets on the kid. just a bump in the road. Picking the whole place apart, piece by piece. By now, every Ura from here to the terminals must know he's in town. Most of the Ura's conductors are squared away in the middle of the hollow. They're easy targets. The Ura ain't pulling their punches. Those calamity rocks must be eating that place apart from the inside. Keep hanging on to that barricade. After all, their homeland's not much farther. Maybe they know they've lost this. Lost to a kid. Some of them are downright bewildered by what's happening. They underestimated us. Had us pegged all wrong. Yes, our people caused the calamity, but here we are trying to fix it. Did the Ura really think we just turn around and walk away? Shame the opportunity for civilized discourse is over. Suppose old Zolf should have got to know us better. Maybe I should have trusted him. Told him everything I knew. Zolf, the Ura, they have every reason to be angry. Beyond angry. But when this is all over, it'll all be water under the bridge. As the hour grows desperate, the Ura bring out their big guns. There's nothing standing in his way no more. He sees the Tazal Terminals loom large on the horizon. Way out there on the edge of the world, that's where he finally finds you. But it ain't like Prosper Bluff this time. Ain't nothing for the scout to sing about now. Zia, you weren't kidnapped. No, ma'am. You just had to see what happened to the Ura. To your own people. You had to see if everything Zolf wrote to you was true. Sure you didn't drop that twangy thing on purpose? Just to see if he'd go after you? They lost everything, didn't they? But they just keep on fighting like that's gonna bring it all back. I don't need to see what happened to the Ura. I'm trying to undo it, remember? With that mortar and hammer, he's like a one-man demolition squad. The Armada sure could have used one of these back in the day. Now the weight of the world behind us every swing. Once the kid gets that last shard from Zulf, it'll all be over. Mancer Observatory. Now there's a sneaky place, overlooking the Tazal Terminals themselves. The Ura probably didn't know they were being watched from Mancer Observatory. It was the perfect spot to test something no one's meant to know about. Only trouble was, something about the place drove the windbags crazy. Hefty thing like that takes getting used to. Gotta point her in the right direction. Whatever gets in her way is in the world of her, but she ain't the fastest thing. Not much left of the observatory when the smoke clears. If the power of the calamity is safe in anybody's hands, it's safe in his. Part of the rippling walls floated by, so I caught the kid's old knapsack. First step to learning the Calamity Cannon is knowing about the machinery overrides. Seems Zia's cooking got the best of him. It's hard to sleep easy these days, what with everything that's happened. Zulf. Very soon the kid's gonna have to face that man again, for the last time. They met on the worst day of Zulf's life. There in the Hanging Gardens, he aimed to throw it all away. the first time, Zulf had nothing to lose. He was born to a simple Ura couple who didn't last long before plague took him. He grew up hungry in the tunnels of the Tazal Terminals, so he took to stealing from a Ceylandian missionary living there. Once got sloppy with his thieving hands. The missionary caught him, but didn't rat him out. Instead, he offered to take him in. That missionary raised Zulf like a gentleman, like he was his own son. Taught him theology, history, and mercy. Missionary passed away, Zulf promised to continue his work to bring about a lasting peace between the Ura and Ceylandia. Zulf started teaching the missionaries wisdom to any Ura who would listen, and listen they did. He advocated tolerance and argued that the Ura should atone for the war. He believed the city had much to teach his people. However, Zulf felt he could only do so much in the Tazal Terminals. He needed Ceylandia to know the Ura had changed. He decided to do what the missionary did many years before. He left the city of his youth to brave a savage land. hard, but he knew how to fend for himself. And then at last, Zulf saw the rippling walls on the horizon. He endeared himself to city folk straight away, and in turn he fell in love with the city and its people. One in particular. This young lady was fascinated by the Ura, but she never met anyone like Zulf. She told him she knew all the city's best-kept secrets. Gardens was their favorite spot. It was there that Zulf clasped her hands and proposed in proper Ceylondian style. He celebrated with his friends long into the night. Joy and revelry like he'd never seen. Too bad he couldn't remember it all. Woke up alone underground inside the Ceylondian War Memorial, built like an Uraden. But something was wrong. From that hole in the ground into a waking nightmare. Everything that wasn't gone was twisted upside down. Frozen, air thick with ash. What few faces he saw on the street stared back at him with gray and vacant asleep inside her home, but when he reached out to her, she joined with all the ashes in the sky. So Zulf returned to where he proposed in the Hanging Gardens, and there he stood, as if the gods would answer him. The kid's gonna be okay. As for that man, who knows? The trappers, daring bunch of fools. They'll be missed. The Mancers, they knew everything, even if it cost them. Now, who would have taught a kid to do a thing like that? The Mancers conducted their most secretive research far east of the city. You can cause a lot of collateral damage with her being careful. The more crowded it gets, the more trouble you can cause with a single shot. She's designed to be fine-tuned, just need the proper parts. Got that contraption all figured out. experiment was a rousing success. If only the Mancers could have seen the kid playing around with their favorite toy. The Tazal Terminals, all that's left of the Ur civilization, and the last stop on his little journey. I can't hear him at all anymore. He's too far away. But he'll be all right. Got his lifelong friend to keep him company. Just needs to get that shard from Zulf and come on home. The calamity hit the Tazal Terminals hardest of all. No chance anything survived. You know why Zulf went back there. The place was his home. All his old friends and family were there. Taken by the calamity. Zulf must be there all alone, just waiting. You know what's funny? Well, all of us are waiting for a kid. Look around. There's not much left to do here in the Bastion, I'm afraid. So why not tell each other stories to pass the time, right? But Zia, there's another reason I've been telling you all this. There's something I want you to understand. When the kid brings back that shard, the Bastion will be complete. This disease the Ur planet here will go away. What happens to Zulf will no longer matter. Zealandia will be whole again. Everything will be back to normal. Everyone will be all right. Problem is, we'll all be gone. Oh, we're not gonna die. It's more like all of this will just stop. Things will go back to the way they used to be. That's the power of the Bastion. This whole place is a living record of the times before the calamity. The way things were before this story. Self again. Think of all those times that didn't go your way. Follow me. All of life's little setbacks. Imagine if you could have another go at them. Mistakes. Anyone you've ever hurt. Everything you've ever done, you could do it over. And wouldn't that be grand? Wouldn't you agree? Well, I guess there's nothing more to say.
Lavigon. Bravi.
Come on, keep your chin up. Who am I kidding? Look. There's something else. A confession. How come I know so much about the Bastion? Well, I designed the place, but that's beside the point. There's one problem with a place that sets things back to a bygone time. You can't test it. So you're probably wondering if the calamity happened already. What's to stop it from happening again after the Bastion does its thing? The answer is... I don't know. You're wondering if there ain't some other way out of this mess. It's all right. I can tell. But why would you even want another way? Unless you wanted to stay here with us. Well, that's sweet and all, but I don't know if I can stick around. The weight of the calamity, it's on our shoulders. We can't just let it go. Bastion does have another function, strictly speaking. If ever the monument blew out and we couldn't repair it, we'd still evacuate. First, we'd round up as many folks as we could carry. Next, we'd detonate the cores, and we'd take off. Away from here. Heavy, ain't it? Of course, that would mean no going back. Ever. But then again, that way all of us could leave the city. Together. You know Zulf and his countrymen won't be giving up that shard without a fight, don't you? All they want now is to see the Bastion fall. Zulf dedicated his life to a lasting peace between the Ura and Zealandia. He can't have imagined the city would try to wipe the Ura out. Zulf ain't lost every shred of decency though, has he? He tried to warn you about his plans. He tried to warn the kid. For Zulf, this ain't a personal matter. It ain't a simple matter of pride either. For sure, the Ura can't be happy that the kid followed Zulf all the way home. I can see it now. The kid in one corner, and Zulf in the other. Ain't much of a fight. Don't you worry, though. Once the Bastion's restored, it'll all be all right. You ain't still thinking about that whole leaving the city thing, are you?
I'm here. Eyes open wide. Feel your heart.
Kid's probably dealt with Zulf by now.
I'm welcome home.
It reminds me of myself when I was his age. I ever tell you about those days? Hey, kid. Get up, kid. funny. I said get up. That's more like it. Now, set that shard into the monument there. Then we'll talk. Can't believe you brought him back again. Bet you had to do more than say please this time. The Bastion. It's finally finished. Now, there's something I want you to see. Welcome to the heart of the Bastion. I ain't one for long goodbyes, so here's the deal. Zia and I figure you done the heavy lifting, so you get to do the honors. We can tell you how to work this thing if you got any questions. Hey, kid. You can undo the calamity here and now. Go on, kid. And before I forget, thank you. Always wondered what the motherland was like. Not that it matters anymore. Zulf only brought more ruin to the Ura. No wonder they didn't take kindly to him. You've got one thing left to do, so you hang on to that badge. Besides, you earned it. Don't let anything you've done get to you. You can save all those creatures here and now.
You made it. So, let's see. You can either prevent the calamity, or stick around with me and Rex. I'd hate to be in your shoes. If I could be any place I wanted, I'd stay right here. We could go anywhere in the world. Zulf tried to talk me into joining him. I tried to talk him out of it. I guess we both failed. When I finally found my people, I told them we could help. They just took me for a traitor. Glad you showed up. Any moment I'd want to live again happened after the calamity, not before.
Just go with your gut. You'll do the right thing.
Ready to get this over with?
Here I figured you'd had enough of me by now. You could have undone the calamity itself, but instead you want to stay in a world like this. I gotta admit, kid, I ain't yet put much thought in that idea, but carrying on with you here. We can't go back no more, but I suppose we could go wherever we please. And if anyone's left out there, I sure would like to see the look in their faces when we dock this thing right on that doorstep. Getting ahead of myself, though. I'm gonna need a first mate. What do you say?
I said